All right. March is out like a lamb or in like a lion. What is it? In like a lion, out like a lamb. And end of March means the end of the first quarter. We're going to start getting a slew of earnings coming up. Going to get a look at GDP. They're worried about the 3-month, 10-year inversion. I don't think that's a problem until the 210 flips. But that was talked about, created some weakness. We've got the Mueller report behind us. It's nonsense. I think a lot of people thought it was. The market didn't. Market was never really that concerned. There were moments it was, but that's in the rearview mirror. Brexit's still an issue because they're knuckleheads. They can't get anything done. And now you got U.S.-China trade, although it hasn't been talked about a lot in the last week. It's going to come back in. Are they going to do something? Is it going to be in April? It's supposed to be in late March. We obviously know it's not going to be in late March because here we are. But do they kick the can? What do they do? Are there trade wars? Is China going to try to stretch this out and back up the president into the heat of his 2020 reelection bid? Because they know that. North Korea isn't a problem unless they start firing missiles. Initially, that'll be knee-jerk bearish for stocks. That probably won't happen, but you never know because he's a knucklehead too. And then you just kind of go from there, understanding what the drivers are. FOMC, they've been the catalyst. Not only are they not going to raise rates in 2019, they said that in last week's statement, but they're not even going to, they might even cut rates, for crying out loud. So it's 6 and 1/2 dozen of the other with that. They cut rates. That's good for cheaper money, but are they worried about something that we don't know about? So that's the problem with that. Again, I think if it happens, it'll be in late December, and that's what they're anticipating. So there'll be some interesting Fed statements from now until then based on a rate cut maybe in 19. They're definitely not going to hike. So that's what's pushed markets to where we're at, this 2,800 area in the June contract. We were up as high as the 60s. This is a 60-minute chart a few days ago. I think they got weak because of the inverted yield curve. And what else? What else am I missing that could have created some weakness? Maybe the Fed knowing something we don't know. The inverted yield curve creating the idea of recession. They dipped them into 27.90 yesterday. I don't know if I'm missing something. But those are the drivers that I try to preface this meeting every week to make sure if you're not in the trading room, and you should be a trading room guy too, but you got to stay in tune. Every day at 7 o'clock in the morning, the prop analysts at the prop firm would go over these things. And I'm pretty good at it. He was better. He was a little smarter than me. Not as nice as looking, but he was smart. And, well, now you gotta rely on me. Understand these drivers as traders, not economists, right? But we will get some GDP data in April to see how January, February, March fared. All the earnings come out. Those will be drivers. I think, though, in the spring, there's supposed to be a debt ceiling vote. That could be interesting. I got to look that up because that could be something that drives us north and south. If they do it, they don't do it. So start Googling that. I don't know if that deadline is in the summer or this summer, but they're going to have to increase the debt ceiling legally in order to pass a budget to borrow money. That's what the debt ceiling is all about. We had a huge, I'm not anticipating the same kind of 2011 reaction, but August and September of 2011, massively volatile based on the whole debt ceiling fight and credit being downgraded in the U.S. for the first time ever. For today's session, I delayed it by an hour and a half because I was doing something. Peter had asked me to do an event over at Jigsaw, and so I did it. I felt like you guys knew a lot of the stuff I was talking about with him, so I didn't want to invite you there and make the session that session. I wanted to create a little something different and fresh based on what we've been doing. And so I want people in the room to participate more in this, and that is do whatever you do to come up with a pre-market opinion. Journal it if you have the verbal journal. If you don't, take the survey I put out every morning. And the survey is simple. Are you bullish or bearish? And what we do is I put a verbal journal dot on a chart, and I put it on a 60-minute. I just changed it to a 60-minute. And here's the color scheme for it, so you kind of understand it. What is the color? See this row right here in this color? What do they call this? Not a legend. What would they call this? Color. Someone's got to know the appropriate name for this. What is it? Palette. All right, there we go. Palette. Yeah. Drew had an answer. I knew it was wrong. Drew came first with the answer, and I'm like, he's got to be wrong, and he was. So the color palette, this row in the palette goes from bearish to bullish. So the further down, the more bullish the room is coming into the market. Somewhere in the middle, it's 50-50. Somewhere on the top, it's more bearish than bullish. Somewhere at the bottom, too, it's more bullish than bearish. So we're following this line. I didn't want too many, so you follow something across. We're just going to stay on this line. So the more pink it is, the more bearish it is, and then the darker it is, the more bullish it is. You get used to that. You get used to that. So knowing that, let's look at a 60-minute simple bar chart of the S&Ps. And every dot we've had, we just started doing this. We could start with today. Today, people were pretty what? Bullish. And we ended up rallying initially. These are 60-minute charts, right? So we broke and then rallied. But it was like 2/3 bullish or 75% bullish today. So this, well, wait a second. Let's look. Yeah, it was pretty bullish because it's one above the most bullish it would be. So that's where the room was at 8 o'clock Central. Net, they rallied. If you're one of those guys that are bullish, you should have been able to play it from the long side. It would have worked. Had you tried to pick good locations, looking for this rally. All right. The day before, we had this color. What is that color? I don't know. That color is pretty bearish right there. Well, in the hours after we went up and down, you wouldn't have been wrong. But you got to pick good locations. The whole point of this, having the opinion, only goes so far and only is going to prove so much. You could have the right opinion and lose money that session. But if you were trying to play it from the short side, you anticipated this kind of bearishness, which was a lot. You could have caught it playing it from the short side. Would you have got stuck as it went up? Not if you're trading well, but you could ultimately play it from, well, you were not wrong. The next day up in here, same kind of bearishness. The color means there were a lot more people bearish than bullish. And the market did what? The people who were bullish doesn't mean they lost money, but the people who were bearish, if you played it on that side, you should have done well. Doesn't mean sell it once and the market goes down, life is good. That's what's important, is the downside was the right side that day also. So then we go and we find this dot. This dot is maroon, pretty dark. That's the most bullish we could be on the 21st of March. And look at it straight up. So the room was more bullish than bearish. Played it from that side, probably did pretty well. The day before, we had a pink dot, which would put us in the middle, neither here nor there, and went down, went up. Now, if you do this yourself, I'm doing this for the room, you click on this dot, what happens is nothing. See, nothing happens when you click on that dot. Wait, I know why, because it's a 60-minute. 60 minutes are a little harder to grab the middle of them. God bless it. You can't grab it. All right. So when you grab, oh, I know why. All right. I already had one open. You can't have one open and have the other one open. So when you click the dot, go back and listen. 70% bearish coming into this morning. Germany got some weak manufacturing data. Brexit could kick. So you can't tell me for nothing that if you had an opinion at this moment in time and you even wrote it down, you're going to go back and read it. You're not. But if you verbalize it every single day, then you see what the market does. It's either going to give you confidence that what you're thinking is good or give you confidence to stop thinking what you're thinking. This is going to save you time if your pre-market analysis sucks. It's going to give you confidence to trade your pre-market analysis if it's good. These dots are just the whole room. The whole room. A survey I do for the whole trading room. So if you got the verbal journal, use it in part for what you think is going to happen today and why, but have the color to be, bullish or bearish. So you could actually just go back and look at your 60-minute chart, and you know that those colors on the palette are your pre-market opinions. And then, like for me, the yellow one in here is there was some China news that came out. I put yellow ones are my alerts and what the hell happened. And then I draw a line to it. And take a look at this. Look how well this line worked. Let me show you this. Look how well this line worked. I have it stop at the end of the session, but let's say I drew it across. Look how well this line worked. These are hourly charts. So this market stopped at 56 even, right there. And they broke them all the way down to 45. That was a 10 handle drop from across. Ground zero. So that's the other thing with this verbal journal is it gives you the ability to place when an event happened, what was said, draw a line, and then go from there. I make those yellow. But at the very least, how are you feeling today? I feel like crap. My neck is hurting, or I feel good. My neck is feeling better. I had a really good night with my husband, or whatever. You're not going to turn any experiences into lessons unless you document and verbalize. And then once you start doing it, you know what you're going to happen? You're going to go back and listen to how you talked 6 months ago and say, look at the growth. Look at the growth in my market timing and analysis. But you can't do that. The only thing you're going to use is what? Your statement? Statement could be lying to you. You could have been getting lucky the last 3 or 4 months making money. You think you're growing. But how you sound is where you're going to get value. We're going to create ways to then take the inflection of your voice and actually give you a subjective dial, how you're feeling. Because when you trade this thing, we have advantages over all this AI BS and all this robotic and automated, because they have no fear. You need fear, but not too much fear, right? And so the way I see this business is that they're going to have a whole lot of AI investment that's going to stink, and it's going to create low-hanging fruit for a while, all right? Here's the money tree. There's going to be low-hanging fruit. It's going to come down on the tree because they're going to be testing a lot of AI that's probably going to not be good at first. But when you get any kind of new, everybody's got something new or whatever else, there's always this line of no fear, too much fear. And machines have no fear, and humans often will have too much fear. But you got to create this middle ground where fear alerts you to issues and problems when you're in touch with your subconscious. And that's why these guys, the robots, will always have to be watched by these guys, because we're always trying to find the middle of a good emotional disposition, even for a machine, because then they'll blow out. If you don't know what AI is, it's just artificial intelligence. It's like a new trend. Everything's going to be artificially and driving everything. But in the beginning, which could be a 10-year experiment, AI is going to suck. I've seen a couple AI trading programs, and they're laughable. Now, good question. If someone's wrong with their pre-market analysis most of the time, what do you suggest they do to get better at analyzing it? First, make sure that you know you're bad at it. And the only way you're going to know you're bad at it is an exercise like this. So if you're bad at it, stop coming up with one to start with. That's how you start. Stop doing what you were doing to make the calls bullish or bearish. That's number one. That makes sense? That's the first thing you do. If you're wrong, if you find that your pre-market analysis is giving you no help or edge, save yourself time with trying to make one up. Then I would tell you to just listen to what I talk about in the trading room, the general stuff about what's driving the market. And let the first 15 minutes or 30 minutes, and I think Brett Steenbarger's session in a month will help as to create your in-market opinion instead of pre-market opinion and go that direction. Anybody else got questions? I wasn't going to have this a very long session. I want you guys to go to the YouTube channel, subscribe to it, leave some good comments there for me. I'm going to update it every day. You'll like it, but I got to have subscribers. I'm not going to update it every day. Let me throw in a link for you guys to do it. Where is it at? Don't search for it yet. You're doing it, Drew. Search that link I just posted. Watch the video, subscribe to them, give me thumbs up, make some good comments, and I'll keep making the videos. If nobody's watching, I'm not going to make them. And I might even put some funny videos up there if enough people watch it. All right, Mike, good afternoon. Ring the bell. You got to ring the bell. When you hit the bell, that means you're alerted to a new video. So when you go to subscribe, ring the bell. It'll have people, when I post a new one, your bell will get rung. No, you like it, huh? Anybody got any other questions? Start documenting with the verbal journal. You want the verbal journal? Go to verbaljournaltrading.com and get it. It's not expensive. Works on Sierra and Ninja. You want a discount? I'll give you a discount code. But it's a crazy cool tool if you use it. I'm doing mentoring sessions and I'm making people use the verbal journal because, man, the sessions so much more relevant when you can go back and look at your thoughts and listen to your thoughts. Not just if you do them with me, but when you do them with each other. I'm really pushing and advocating that people are pairing off in 2s and 3s. You got to take this to a level that's beyond your competition. Your competition are a bunch of people that go from webinar to webinar, YouTube to YouTube channel, and book to book to book, try to become successful. They never get themselves around a group. They're in a forum and they think they're in a group. Not so much. In order to be in a group, you want to be able to see someone, meet someone, hug someone, kiss them. Don't get carried away. Here, just go to this link there, Bob. Edge Trading Group. Edge Trading Group is the name of the YouTube channel. There's like 10 videos on there. So let's wrap this up. Drivers, U.S.-China trade. There will be more comments that come down the wire at some point, if not this week, next week. That will become hot again. Do not forget. And then we'll continue to do this survey and look at it. Hopefully next week, George will be back with some really good dome education that he's picked up on. We talked with him 2 weeks ago. We'll talk to him again shortly in our Tuesday event. Back to 11 Central. Thanks for postponing till 12:30. We'll be back at our regularly scheduled time, 11 Central, next week.